Welcome everyone to the GovHack 2020 Connections event for Queensland. This is one of the events in the series of events that we're running in this current fortnight, looking at how they get started with the competition. We've had a number of talks already from our sponsoring and partnering organizations, and this one this evening will be looking at how you can participate in Queensland in the competition that will be happening on the 14th to the 16th of August. The session that we're going through this evening will be about an hour and a half long. It's not all me talking in this presentation. We will be splitting into partially presentation and then jumping into a Zoom call after this where we can ask some questions and you can meet the other participants, mentors and sponsors that will be participating within Queensland this year. So to get started, my name is Jason Weigel. I am the chair of GovHack Australia Limited, and I am the state director for Queensland this year. I've been involved with GovHack for quite a number of years. I started as a participant in the first year of GovHack when it came to Queensland in 2013, then became a volunteer in the year after that, and increased my participation every year after that. GovHack I've found has been great. I've really enjoyed doing it, so much that I started getting more and more involved as a volunteer until I'm now actually the chair of the organization and running the Queensland-based events. Um, so let's hear more about what is going to be occurring this evening. As we're going through this, if anyone has any questions that they would like to ask throughout the session, please jump on to the YouTube chat. We have a live chat going there, and I'll be taking note of the questions and then responding to them at the appropriate time. If you're on the Hackerspace page, if you click on the top name of the YouTube video or click on the YouTube link, that'll take you to the YouTube page where you'll be able to access the comments. I'll also be using the on-screen comment feature partially through this. So when you see something like this pop up, you can ask a question by navigating to the URL that's appearing at the top of the screen, and then you'll be able to ask a question. You can either ask it with your name attached or anonymously, and then other people will be able to vote up the questions so that they bubble up to me. And then I can present these questions on the screen when we get to them. So throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, either put it in the YouTube comments or using the questions when I have the question panel up. I'll be turning it off and on throughout the session at different times, and I'll be waiting around to grab some questions if anyone has any. So for now, I'm going to turn it off. If you have any questions, throw it into the live chat. So what is the plan for this evening? So first, I'm going to be talking about what is GovHack and why you should be interested in participating in it. Having a look at the data that makes up GovHack, what new things are coming to GovHack 2020, and maybe giving some hints on what the themes are for the competition this year. Some helpful hints on how you can go about walking away with some of the prizes at the end, and how you can get the best experience out of GovHack. And then we'll look at how we can get connected throughout this experience. So without further ado, going to jump into what is GovHack. So hack. This generally is associated with the malicious intent of breaking into a system, stealing people's passwords, and cracking. That is not the definition that we're using, and that is typically associated with the word crack. Hack, in the sense that we're using it, is a quick or inelegant solution to a particular problem as defined by the Oxford Dictionary, um, as well as by Urban Dictionary, to program a computer in a clever, virtuosic, and wizardly manner. Hacking is the domain of digital poets. Hacking is a subtle and arguably mystical art, equal parts with technical ability. So we're looking at the creative side, how you can take some raw aspects of it, different the problem space and open data to come up with some interesting ideas that our sponsoring agencies would be interested in looking at, and what you could potentially commercialize and take further. So the purpose of GovHack. GovHack is a festival of ideas using open government data to make our communities better places. Looking at these in the different aspects, a festival of ideas. One of the things that we say that GovHack does, it will generate many different ideas relevant to the problem spaces that our sponsors put forward. These will be a range of different things. I'll be going through some examples later, but they could be mobile apps, they could be websites, they could be physical constructions, such as using maker style projects. They could be creative, such as musical pieces, board games, something that utilizes the open government data. There's so much open government data out there within Australia and New Zealand that we just need to find useful ways that we can make use of this. Um, we use this data as a way of addressing different challenges that are put forward by our sponsoring agencies as a way to make our communities. So, whatever you define as your community is these communities. It could be your local community group, it could be your local council region, it could be your state, it could be your country, it could be your business. Um, we have so many different communities. We're looking at ways of making your community that you identify a better place. We want this as an overall place, making the world better. So, how does GovHack happen? It happens over 46 hours. This year, it's going to be happening on the 14th of August, starting at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and going through until 5 p.m. on Sunday, also Australian Eastern Standard Time. The challenges are announced at that time at 7 p.m., and you'll be able to identify useful open government data that relates to these different challenges. Our sponsors will highlight some of these open data for you, but then you can go and use any other open data sets that you have access to. And then potentially, if the data that you are wanting to use isn't there, you could mock it up as a way of feeding back to the government sponsors saying, this data isn't here. If we had this data, we could make this so much better. So this is a way of getting more open data to be released as well. We look at ideating, so we'll develop so many different ideas going through this. You'll be working in small groups of teams to do this. You'll develop a proof of concept. This could be a website, a mobile app, a creative endeavor, something that shows off how you've utilized this open data to address the challenge. You need to document the data story and provide citations to the data that you've used. Lastly, you'll produce a 3-minute video pitch that describes what your solution or sorry, your idea and your proof of concept to this is. It's unlikely that you'll develop something that is a ready to go end product within the 46 hours, but you'll make a decent step of the way there of developing what is the general idea of this. That you can then iterate on following the competition, depending on it, how well you go and how the sponsors like your idea. This may even be as a way of getting them on board to help you with this endeavor going forward. So, as I mentioned earlier, we have some different type of projects. So the project that I'm showing up on the top left, which in the description of this video later, following this event, I'll add in the links to these. These are some of the projects that we've occurred last year. The one on the top left is a project which is a website which looks at insolvency to determine whether someone would be bankrupt or not by comparing historical insolvency records with some questions that the user gets asked to explore whether they're at a risk of becoming insolvent. We have in the top right a mobile phone application that was developed in Sydney that is TrainMate, which looks at how people will navigate around on public transport and provide support and suggestions to the network providers. In the bottom left, we actually have a musical piece. This was using open government data that looked at transportation to Australia by convicts in a way that it was able to teach young students about this problem, or the challenge of letting people know about what our historical past was. So they did this in form of a song to learn about specific people that were transported. We also then have in the bottom right hand corner a physical maker project that was developed by a family, their parents and their children, which looked at them building an actual ecological experiment, which showed how water would travel and be utilized as environmental changes occurred. So any different ways of presenting these projects. All of these projects did actually quite well and walked away with some prize money in the competition last year. So they don't all need to be a technical solved applications, but that's not saying that they shouldn't be. So who participates in GovHack? Anyone is actually able to participate in GovHack. We are a open and free to anyone to participate. Some of our key and historical people that have participated in this are students, whether they be from primary, secondary, or tertiary education. Typically, we get the majority from our tertiary education system if for students, but we do have a large number of secondary school students coming in, and we've even get some primary school students. Our youngest competitor was actually 4 years old a few years ago, and they were actually from at the Logan event a few years ago. They competed with older student who was 7 years old, and they ended up walking away with the best youth prize, runners up for best youth prize in the entirety of Australia. So they actually did quite an interesting project looking at crash data within Queensland. Um, we have a large number of public servants that participate, that utilize not so much the knowledge that they have of their specific agency, but utilizing cross uh, um, data from other agencies and manipulating it in ways that they know from government policy, not for its extra advantage, but actually to try to address some of the problems that they're seeing within their working environment to add in extra information. We also then have the tech industry. We have a large number of people that are from different tech organizations that come in and participate. We have many freelancers, a lot of creatives, whether they be designers, musical inclined, any way of expressing their creative talents. Data lovers. For GovHack, we get so many data lovers because we're an open government data competition. So data people will jump in. As I was saying, this is all ages. Um, the youngest person was about 4, but then on the alternative spectrum, in the same year as that person competed, we actually had a gentleman in their 80s competing at the Ipswich location. So the age range for this competition is very, very broad. and all skills and skill levels are welcome for this. So I'm going to open up for any questions for a little bit while I start going through the next section. So if you have any questions at the moment, pop them into either the chat or using the link up the top of the page, and I'll come to them in a moment. The next section that I'm going to go through is what is open data. So looking at this, we see data. So this is stuff that is released. Yeah. So specifically for open data, it needs to be available online and openly licensed. So this makes it so that anyone is able to use it, and there isn't restrictive licensing on it for so that you can't use it if you're doing it for financial, or you need to make sure that you use it in one specific way. Um, it needs to be openly licensed. It should be published in open formats such as CSVs, or through APIs, so that they can be easily accessed and read by machinery. Um, we then have that it needs to be free and freely accessible wherever possible, um, so that it's available on our data portals. We have a number of different data portals available within Australia and New Zealand. Some of these that I'll highlight now is the Australian Open Data Portal that is at data.gov.au, where you can find all the open data that's available within Australia, either in here or linked off to the other data portals that we have. We have a open data portal for every state and territory within Australia, which are located typically at the state abbreviation.gov.au. So for Queensland, we have data.qld.gov.au. This is one of the places that you'll be going through for a lot for the competition this year, for if you're participating in Queensland, where we have all our Queensland data sets. So make sure you go there and check it out. We have the Queensland government has also put together a number of different stories of how the data has been used in previous years as part of GovHack. So make sure to go and check that out as well. We also then have data portals for many different local councils around Australia and New Zealand. If you're located in Queensland, some of these are the Brisbane City Council one, and the Sunshine Coast Council ones. But how do you actually find all these? We have on the Hackerspace provided a listing of where some of these are located. So on the Hackerspace, if you click on the datasets link at the top, you'll get navigated to this page, which shows a collection of different data portals that we've identified throughout Australia and New Zealand. We also will be throughout the competition, and from 1 week prior to the competition, let you know about some of the key data sets that will be available for this competition. These data sets are always available, but we're highlighting specific ones that our sponsors think are relevant to this competition, and ones that we think are relevant to the topics that we're presenting. You'll be able to find this on the other tab that is connected to the data portals page, which shows the key data sets. You'll be able to search through this to find which relevant data sets is. What we're showing here on the screen is the ones from last year. The ones for this year will start becoming available from 1 week before the competition. So make sure to go and check it out. So what's new to GovHack 2020? Well, as we all know at the moment, things are very different to how things were last year. We're living in a time of social distancing requirements associated with COVID-19. So we've moved the competition majorly online this year. Within Queensland, our competition will be held entirely online. So let's go through how that will look. Before the competition, you will have seen that we have had a number of different YouTube live streams that have been going on for the digital conference. This is a pre-competition event. This is new this year, where you can listen in to some of our sponsoring agencies talk about their technology, their data, and what interesting things they're doing that may form an aspect of how you can compete in the competition this year. All of these are still available up on YouTube and can be found by going to the hackerspace, going to the previous connection, the previous conference events, and you'll find the link to these. You can also go through the previous live stream events that have occurred on this YouTube channel to see them as well. So there's some great things here. So I do recommend, if you have a little bit of time, to go through and watch some of these. We are also going to be having a treasure hunt that is going to be starting 1 week prior to the competition. So this will allow you to start looking at some of the data that we have available to see what you could potentially do with this. The treasure hunt will get you going to different websites, going to different data sets to explore it, and this will continue for through the competition to a little bit after it. With everyone being working from home for the most part, team formation this year is majorly going to occur online. If you already have an existing team that you want to work with, great, you can work with that team. But if you would like to get some more people into your team, or you don't have a team at the moment, we're going to be doing a number of different ways of doing this. So it's not quite set up yet, but on the hackerspace, you'll be able to provide an individual profile that will be your hacker profile. So you can say what you're interested in, what skills you have, whether you're looking for a team, what you want to get out of GovHack, and what sort of data sets you're interested in, so that you can start looking for team members. You'll get an email sent out to you if you're registered for the event shortly with more information about how you can create your hacker profile. You don't need to create a hacker profile if you already have a team, but we do strongly recommend it so that you can keep in contact with us, other competitors, and potentially sponsors that like what you're doing can get in contact with you, and then you can, with your approval, contact them back. This will be mediated through the hackerspace, and your contact details would only ever be shared if you actually actively agree to want to talk to them back. So they might be contacting you about, I like your idea and would love to work with you more. So this is one of the things that we're doing to, as we're moved online, you can't really talk face to face in the same room as our sponsors and mentors. So this is a way that we can provide some mediated connection with the participants and sponsors and mentors. We also have on our Slack community, which I'll go through in a little bit later, we have the Find Teams channel where you can post a short description about yourself, what you're looking for, and what region you're in, and you can get connected with participants from around Australia and New Zealand to form a team. We will be running team formation activities on the Friday evening and, if required, on the Saturday morning of the competition to get people connected. And we'll be utilizing Zoom and Slack for this. For this year, to allow for the digital event to run smoother, we are synchronizing the times across Australia. So if you are competing anywhere within Australia, the competition will be starting at 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. And for those of our friends over in New Zealand, they'll be starting on a different time zone at their local 7 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time. The competition will run for 46 hours, ending at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time in Australia and 5 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time in New Zealand. We will be utilizing some of the technology that we've used before, but we're enhancing the way that we're doing it as we've moved online. So we're continuing to use Slack. So if you already have an account on the GovHack HQ Slack, you can jump in there again and utilize it. If you don't have an account already, if you go to govhack.org/Slack, you'll be able to join in the conversation there. We will also be utilizing Zoom throughout the competition weekend. The connection details for Zoom will be provided closer to the competition weekend, so you can jump on then to do it. We'll also be getting ways that you'll be able to talk to other participants, mentors, on a combination of these two technology platforms. Proposed themes. So this year, we went to our sponsors with a selection of themes that we would like them to um, bring ideas forward for the competition this year. These are just some of the proposed themes. Some of these will go ahead, some of these may not. But this is not a definitive list. Our sponsors may also come in with other themes that are more relevant to their organization, and they're more than welcome to do that. Um, so these are the things that you can start thinking about while you can't start developing solutions or ideas around these, because they're just placeholders at the moment. It does give you an idea of what sort of data sets to have a look at before the competition begins. Once the actual competition begins and the challenges are launched, then you'll get a better idea of what these, how the sponsors are looking at these particular themes. So we have a few of these. So one of these is looking at resilience and recovery of our communities. So this is looking at ways that we can start recovering from economic, social, and environmental events such as bushfires and earthquakes, as well as ways that we can leverage and explore targeted ideas around different urban, regional, and remote communities, as well as making sure that we look to for those in New Zealand, our Maori communities, as well as in Australia, our Indigenous, Aboriginal, and Torres Strait Islander communities, as a way of working together to make sure that everyone is resilient and can recover from many different environmental, economic, and social events that are threatening our different communities. Looking at beyond COVID-19, new ways to work and play. It's likely that the idea of what normal is has changed for quite a while. As we're moving through this, we're looking at what is a post COVID-19 world. How will we be able to work and play and learn in this? How can we help our communities, businesses, and public services operate to get the best out of this? Being inclusive and accessible. So looking at ways that supporting people and making people uh, able to help themselves in much more ways. In Australia and New Zealand, approximately 1 in 5 people have a disability or some sort of way that stops them operating at the 100 best of their ability. So we're looking at better ways to help these people not and work with them to make things better. Health and well-being. So how can we support others and our communities around physical, social, mental, and spiritual health? Open science. So this is looking at how we can create open science projects to make research outputs, methods, resources, and tools easier to use and access. Looking at citizen science, putting the tools into the hands of the community as a way of breaking down scientific projects to make them understandable into understandable components so that anyone can get involved. Looking specifically into emergency management around how we can prepare, mitigate, and recover from emergencies, making sure that it's timely, accessible, and accurate data is available for decision making. And then we're looking also then specifically at two topics that are relevant to the Australian community and the global community, such specifically the Australian bushfires. We had one of the most destructive bushfire events and seasons in the 2019-2020 season. So how can we help to support and predict bushfires seasons better so that we can help health and emergency services better prepare for the future? Also then looking at how this looks at a global view as well, how that other countries such as New Zealand, the US, where similar sort of events occur, that they can also benefit from this. And lastly, we have Black Lives Matters as a way of making sure that our Indigenous, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander communities are making sure that they are represented and receive appropriate acknowledgement throughout the community, and make sure everyone is working together. Um, so some helpful hints that will help you compete throughout the competition this year. One of the ways of getting more and more out of GovHack is making sure that you have the right team makeup when you come into the competition. When I participated in GovHack, I came in with a multidisciplinary group that was made up of programmers, data crunchers, creatives, facilitators, all these different skills so that we could address the problem space in a much wider range, building off of our prior lived experiences and the skills that we all had to get this. So I strongly recommend that you try to expand out your skill set in that is in your team so that you can cover different aspects of this, so that you're not all relying on one person for one aspect. So the different areas that I strongly recommend you have, you would this also depends on the sort of problem that you want to do, but in general, you'd want someone that would be a programmer and a techie if you're developing a technical application for this. You want someone to be able to analyze and crunch the different data sets and come up with interesting ideas out of it. You would look for a creative person to put creative flair into the project, working on the user experience and the user interface of this. Or looking at the other ways that you can do this. So this may be looking at the artistic flair if you're developing an artistic style project. You want to have a facilitator, someone to keep you on track throughout the competition and make sure that you're getting the deliverables done on time. You'd want a problem solver, so someone who is excellent at solving these different problems. And getting people in the group to think in the right way to do this. And lastly, if you can, try and get a subject matter expert in your team as well for the different challenges that you're going for, whether these be people that are government policy people, or they may be subject matter experts in the topic that you're exploring in the challenge, such as if you're doing something on uh, um, the health or the science, you may want to get someone that may be a doctor or someone in the medical profession to come along and as well to participate in your team to help form your ideas. One of the things that you want to do is make sure that you keep track of your time throughout the competition. before the competition starts, make sure to have a look around the different data sets that are available and participate in the treasure hunt. Watch the different conference videos that we have from our different sponsors to learn about the different technologies, tools, and data sets that are available. Then, when we get into the competition weekend on Friday, the 14th of August, um, we will be get settled in for the opening live stream that will be going out to all of Australia. The live stream will start at 6:30, so make sure you get settled in, get things ready, so you're ready to go at 6. So when the live stream starts, you're ready to go and participate in the competition. At 7 p.m., the challenges will be announced, so you can start looking at the different challenges there. Then we have some different suggestions down here on what you should be doing to make use of your time for the remainder of the Friday evening. So explore the challenges and their related data sets. Jump on to Slack and Zoom to have a chat with the different mentors that we have. Identify the different potential challenges that your group may want to do. Start coming up with ideas for ways to address these challenges. Brainstorm as many ideas as you can. Don't throw away ideas because they're bad. Try and utilize the different ideas that people have so that you can come up and work out what is the best idea that you as a group can put forward to these challenges. And then get your project page started on the hackerspace. So this is where you can assign your different team members that you're having and put in a preliminary project name. You can fill the rest out throughout the rest of the competition, but make sure to get started on it early so you have it registered. As we move into the Saturday, you want to continue brainstorming your ideas, and potentially by about lunchtime, you want to lock in what challenges you want to work on throughout the competition weekend. You can still change these as things go on, but you want to get a good idea of what you can achievably do within the weekend. Throughout the weekend, we suggest that you take photos and screenshots of your work so that you can utilize this in your evidence of work. So you need to provide evidence of the work that you've done and how you've gone about it. So providing some photos and screenshots to put into the material is a good way of doing this. It's also a good way so that we can see what's going on because as we aren't participating in the same place for the most part this year. We would love to see what's going on. So let us know by sharing these photos and screenshots on social media using the hashtag GovHack. You'd want to start mocking up a prototype. So this could be a wireframe. It could be something quickly drawn and sketched so you get an idea of what this is. And if you can, put this in front of a few different people to see what they think of it. Start developing your prototype. So if this is a technological application, start developing the code, start crunching the data. Or if it's a more creative one, start writing the music, start creating the board game, whatever you want to do, start putting it together. You should also storyboard your concept video. Um, think of how you're going to set out your video on the Saturday. So when you come to the Sunday, you know what you're doing with the video. Leaving the video to the last minute means that you may have issues getting everything sorted in the time frame that we have. So get started on it early. And update your project page with information that you've done on the Saturday, including any data sets you've used, what the different ideas and the challenges that you're entering. Um, at 7 p.m. on the Saturday, we will be having a live stream game event that will be occurring as a way of getting people to take a little bit of break and make sure that when you head back to developing your ideas, that you'll be a bit refreshed and recovered. You'll have time to take your mind off the problem space that you're working on, so you can come back with new and interesting ideas. As we move into the Sunday, the final day of the competition, you want to finalize your prototype, film your concept video. I strongly recommend that you film your video sometime probably around lunchtime on the Sunday, so that you have time to put it together and get it uploaded to the video sharing service that you want to use. Um, Make sure that you allow enough time for it to upload. Depending on the internet connection that you have, you want to make sure that it has enough time to upload, so it's up and available by the competition closing time at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Um, Again, continuing to take photos or screenshots of your work. You need to complete your dataset citations. So any dataset that you've utilized as part of the competition, you need to record it in your project page, listing the dataset that you've used, as well as then how you've used it, and potentially maybe give some feedback to the sponsoring agencies about the dataset, whether it was useful, if there's any problems with it, so that they can look to potentially improve the data sets if there's issues, or know that they're doing a good job if it was a good data set. You need to complete your data story. So the data story is how you've utilized the data in specific ways. So you can draw some of the stuff that you use from the specific data sets, but this looks at how you've combined multiple different data sets together to develop your application and to tell a story as a part of your application. Um, you need to upload your video either to YouTube, Vimeo. You can also upload it to Google Drive or Dropbox, as long as it has a timestamp, and that the timestamp will be before 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. You need to then submit the latest version of your prototype to somewhere where we can access it. You need to do this under an open source license. As a part of the competition rules. So if this is a technical application, we recommend that you would either put it on a service such as GitHub or Bitbucket, and you could probably do this before the competition closes. So throughout the Friday and the Saturday, upload different versions of it to make sure you have a revision history through this. You could also put it on either Dropbox or Google Drive, as long as, again, it is up there prior to 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. If you want to take your project further after the competition, but before the judging is complete, you're welcome to, but you should do it on either a different branch or in a different folder, so that the version that the judges are looking at is the one that was submitted prior to 5 p.m. You need to then complete your project page on the Hackerspace, so make sure to include all the above information, so the dataset citations, the data story, the challenges that you've entered, the link off to the video, the link to your evidence of work, or for evidence of work. If you're developing a project that is not a technical one, and it may be a maker space, a maker style thing, or a creative one, you want to provide your evidence of work. So photos, CAD files, any sort of ways of demonstrating what went into the creation of this, and ways that, if it is reproducible, ways that people can reproduce this, and include that in your evidence of work. The competition will close at 5 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, so you need to make sure everything is up prior to that time. Other helpful hints. You want to make sure that you look at appropriate challenges that you can enter. Each challenge has one or more number of eligibility criteria. So you want to make sure that the criteria is met, and that you're addressing the challenge in an appropriate way for what is being asked. There may be a number of different challenges from our different segments, such as the either Queensland challenges, the Australian national challenges, or the international challenges that align with one another. So you can actually enter multiple challenges. This year, you can enter up to 5 challenges, so that you can align these different challenges to get multiple different projects into this. A project needs to be a single project can only enter up to 5 challenges. This means you can't create an alternative version of the same project that's made up of the same core elements and add different challenges. This would disqualify the second project. So you need to make sure that you're only entering one project that is made up of the same code base and the same core elements. You're welcome to enter multiple different projects as long as they are diverse, different projects for this. You want to consider different relevant data sets for different challenge topics. The sponsors will highlight a number of different data sets that they think may be relevant to this challenge. So you want to have a look and include them in. But that's not to say don't look at other data sets. There are so many other data sets there that you should try and bring in other relevant data sets to develop your proof of concept. Make it as best as you can using whatever data that you have access to. Make sure to talk to the mentors about your concepts so that they can give you some feedback on them and potentially provide guidance on what they're looking at. You also want to talk to specifically to the mentors related to the challenge, the sponsors of the challenges that you're entering, so that you could get an idea of what they think about it, because they may end up being one of the potential judges of this. So make sure to have a chat with these mentors. So how can you get connected throughout the weekend? So as I've said earlier, Slack is one of the ways that this will happen. So if you haven't done it already, head to govhack.org/Slack and register an account and join the community here. If you already have an account from a previous GovHack competition, if you just head to govhackhq.slack.com, you'll be able to log into your previous account and reconnect with the community. On the Slack, we're clearing out some of the old channels, but the channels that you will find on the competition weekend are the ones that you'll want to pay attention to. So there is the Help Mentors channel. So this is where you can go to talk to different mentors, and they'll pull you into one of the specific mentor channels. Or this is where you can ask, I need someone to help me with X, and then whoever is relevant to that, there take notice of it and can call you in, or one of our GovHack digital facilitators will be able to put you in the right direction as well. Our different sponsoring agencies will have a talk-organization channel where you can jump into here and have a chat with people from the related agencies and sponsors. So there'd be something like Talk ATO and Talk AWS to talk to these different organizations. We will also have the Hack region, so there'll be Hack Queensland, where you can join in and chat to different participants from all around Queensland to see what's going forward and get some feedback. We'll also have some other ones such as Talk UX UI if you need support in the user experience, user interface ones. Talk Video if you need some help within the video. We'll provide a full listing of the different channels that are relevant to you on the hackerspace, so you can jump into these as the competition goes on. We'll also be utilizing Zoom. So the different sponsors that are able to will have Zoom rooms that you can jump in and talk to the different mentors. The different regions will also have a Zoom channel so you can jump into them. And you should be able to get a Zoom room for each of your different groups that you come on with, so you can work together with your group throughout the weekend. In a virtual collaborative room. So again, if anyone has any questions throughout this, please let me know. we have the link at the top of the slides, as well in the in the YouTube chat. So if you have any questions, let us know. So I have a talk from Andrew Groth, who is the Senior Vice President, Regional Head, Australia and New Zealand of Infosys, who has provided an introduction talk to the competition this year. So unfortunately, he can't be here with me. He's in a different state to me. We have a video that we'll be jumping to for this. So give me one moment and we'll swap over to that.
I'd like to start by acknowledging the traditional owners where I'm coming in from today, the Camaragal people of the Eora Nation. I'd like to thank their elders past and present for looking after these lands and these waters for many, many generations. And I'd like to recognise all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders from wherever you're connecting today. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to this GovHack Connection event. My name is Andrew Groth, and I'm a Senior Vice President with Infosys. I lead our business across the Australia and the New Zealand region. Infosys, we're a global leader in next generation digital services and consulting. We have clients in over 46 countries around the world, and we help those clients navigate their digital transformation journey. Here in Australia and New Zealand, we have almost 6,000 staff working across banks, telcos, government agencies, utilities, working with those organisations to accelerate their digital journeys. And importantly at this time, to provide resilience in the face of a rapidly changing landscape that we're all seeing. We've been involved with GovHack for many years. In fact, this is our third year running that we're proud and honoured to be the lead partner for GovHack. We're committed to help nurture the next generation of digital talent. In fact, our culture of our organisation, our DNA going back nearly 40 years, is one around continuous learning. And GovHack is a great proven model for that continuous learning. The skills that will be developed, the solutions that you will bring, are critical in this country. They're critical to the economic recovery that's going to be so important moving forward. Of course, we're all missing the in-person connect, but I'm looking forward to connecting virtually for this event, and I know all the team at Infosys likewise is looking forward to connecting with you virtually in this environment we're all operating in. You know, despite the challenges we're all facing, technology has enabled us to connect and has enabled us to be productive, and in many cases I'd actually even argue to be more productive. For me personally, GovHack has always been a great experience. I've loved meeting so many people, I've seen so many great ideas, and I do hope later in the year we may have the opportunity to meet in person as we go forward. Now, GovHack gives you great opportunities. At this time, it gives you an opportunity to play an important role in addressing the key challenges that we're facing as a country right across Australia and New Zealand. And as you do that, you think about the environment we're in, it's now more critical than ever that you really apply a human-centred approach while you're working on your ideas. So I'd ask you all to keep that in mind. As you go through your ideations and your solutions, what's that human-centred approach? That will be really critical in the ideas and the innovations that we're looking for. At Infosys, we've got some really exciting challenges coming your way, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your ideas as we progress. I'm also really excited this year about our partner UiPath. UiPath is a leading robotics process automation company, and they're providing their software platform to all of you to use. I'd really recommend you use that. In fact, use all the tools that GovHack makes available to you as part of this process. I'll be joining you again at the GovHack virtual launch event on the 14th of August. And in the meantime, I wish you all the very best. Keep learning, keep those great ideas coming, and stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andrew. So, I would also like to acknowledge our different sponsors that we have. You'll have seen our sponsors down the bottom right-hand corner of this one, but I'd specifically like to thank some of our different sponsors. So we have our lead corporate international sponsor, Infosys. We have international sponsors this year, AWS, who will be jumping on to Slack and providing Amazon credits that you can utilize throughout the competition weekend. We have a number of different Australian national agencies that are joining us as sponsors this year, including the Australian Taxation Office, CSIRO, the Australian Research Data Commons, and the Department of Education, Skills and Employment. We have a number of other Australian national sponsors, including Telstra Developers and ARNet. And for community partners within Australia, we have is Hackathons Australia. For Queensland, we would like to say a special thank you to the Queensland Government, who are our platinum sponsors this year and providing so much of the Queensland open data this year. We also have in Queensland as silver sponsors the Sunshine Coast Council. So thank you very much to our sponsors for this year, and we have more coming on. So for getting connected and seeing what's going on, I am going to be hanging out in a Zoom room. If people want to come and join me, have a chat, ask any different questions that you have, meet and greet the other participants who will be participating in GovHack this year. I'll be in a Zoom room for the next 30 minutes or so if people want to come along. If you want to join in, I will jump over to that in just a moment and show you the details. But I also want to point out one of the other upcoming events that we have. So we have the one more upcoming conference session that'll be happening tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, being presented by CSIRO, which is looking at exploring biodiversity data. So this will be an interesting stream that you want to come along to check it out. If you're not able to make it at this time, you can always jump in and watch it after in the post recording, and also go have a look at any of our other conference sessions that have occurred throughout the past week and a half. So jumping on to getting you to come on and have a chat, we will have. You can join me at govhack.org/QLD connections. If you're using a mobile phone to dial in, you may need to enter the code 569675. I'm going to leave this one up and I'm going to mute this stream. But if you want to come and join me, this is the place to do it. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining me here on the live stream today. Come and join me on Zoom.